Chat now, boy.
It's late August. You join me here over on Bradley's Lake in the Cotswold Water Park. The lake's pretty much empty at the minute. I think there's one more angler further on up the bank and that's about it. So I've been able to get myself my favourite swim, the point swim through gate 2. The swim itself commands a lot of water. There's a number of different spots. You've got deep spots, shallow spots, gravel bars, plateaus, deep silty gullies. There's all matters of areas, everything that you'd want to fish on which carp want to feed on. At the minute, I've got 3 rods, as tight as I can get them, on a bar out there at about 140 yards. The wind's blowing straight across at the minute, but it's due to turn and come off me back later on. So with me putting the bait in, what I'm aiming to do is to try and draw the fish up from an out of bounds area, which is where I've been seeing them over the last couple of evenings showing, and certainly at first thing in the morning. First things first, I'm gonna have to get a bit of bait in because a lot of the fish in here move around in large groups and you can have a good number, like a good hit of fish. So I've got a good old mix made up already. I'm gonna whack a load out there and hopefully draw some of these fish in, which I've just seen one show now, another one, which are in the out of bounds. So with the wind blowing that way, I should be able to draw them up and hopefully get a bite.
Chat now, boy.
That's a good enough. Perfect. Bradley's is an absolutely epic day ticket lake. It's got that syndicate feel, but with a day ticket access. Each swim commands its own body of water, and you can catch fish from right close in to out at distance. Whatever you can cast, you're able to catch a fish, like, you know. There's all different types and areas where you've got your long, lean, scaly mirrors to your short, deep, fat-bodied commons. Whatever you want, whatever kind of fish you want to target, it's in there. It's beautiful, clear water. It's full of weed. We've got deep, silty gullies, big gravel bars, plateaus, and everything about it just draws you to come here and have a go. So what I've decided to do is quickly reel all 3 rigs in. The wind has now dropped. Earlier on when I cast out, it was building up, and with it building up, it kind of blown a lot of weed, which I suppose had been cut off by the boats throughout the last couple of days where it's been flat calm. And it was just building up all over my lines, lifting my lines up in various places from the end of the rod tips to 20 or 30 yards out. It's just not very good for my hook bait presentation, basically. I was worried that the build up and the weight might have actually have dragged me leads and blunted the hooks off on the gravel bar which I'm fishing. So I'm going to put some nice fresh hook baits on, some fresh rigs. I'm going to wrap them up and then straight back out there. Oh, that is a bite, man. That is a bite. That was perfect. Right, I've just sat down. Finally got all 3 rods out there now. I managed to get my marker out to the right-hand side of a V, kind of the V line in the tree I've been casting to all day, and putting plenty of bait out. I reckon I've probably gone through 8-9 kilo bait. I don't know, it's been quite a bit anyway. But the thing is, with a big lake, especially this one there's a lot of nuisance fish and also crayfish. So what I want to have is a good bed of bait left down there all throughout the night, and especially for in the morning. You know, the lake is renowned for morning bites, and also like mid-morning, 10-11 o'clock. So with putting that much bait in, I know there's definitely going to be something left down there for when the carp come in. The weather tomorrow is looking a lot better as well. Today's been fairly decent, but we've had a lot of sun, a lot of bright weather, and it's been shining on the water all day. And we've seen plenty of fish cruising about, but they're just not in feeding mode. So a little bit of cloud cover tomorrow, drop in temperature, drop in the winds, and we should hopefully be on for a nice big Cotswold scaly carp in the morning. Right, Matt, absolutely buzzing there. I've got a lovely, possibly £20 mirror in the net just down there, and I've got another common as well, which could be mid to upper 20s, well, hopefully anyway. Bit unlucky on one side, lost two, one cut me off, and one just hook pulled, couldn't help it. It was a savage take. I mean, it ripped the rod, my middle rod, actually off the rest, bent all my bank sticks, bent back all the reel handle and everything, and shortly after that, the hooker pulled and lost what could have been a better fish. But hopefully what we're going to try and do now is quickly get these fish pictured, because they haven't been in the net too long, and then get a bit more bait in, because it's slicking up at the minute and I keep seeing fish so, and every time I put a bit of bait in, they keep coming back, so they're obviously drifting off into the out of bounds area once I've had a take, and then they're coming back up every time I fire out 5 or 6 bombs back over it. So yeah, get everything done and then we'll get back to it and get some more bait back in. Lovely little angry £20 mirror. It's the second one that I had this morning. Taking over all that bait I've been piling out for the last couple of days. We're definitely on the munch. We'll get this one put straight back and we'll get the bigger and the better one out. Yeah, boy. Perfect little dark mirror. We're getting back to his big old home. Oh, and this is the best one of the two. The bigger one is mid-20, absolutely beat me up, tore me around the lake, through the weed beds, round the back of the bar, but luckily he went in the net. Look at that, Cotswold gold. Scale perfect, Bradley's common, hopefully. The big girl's out there somewhere. Bite times on these bigger pits can come at any time. You can try to predict, you know, going on moon phases, low pressures, big winds, no winds, sunny spells, windy spells, rainy spells. You can try to predict it and think to yourself, I'm gonna fish in these conditions and better my chances of catching one. But really, we don't know when they're gonna come. The night times seem to be very productive for me at the minute. The evenings are good times as well. But if you can get onto a bigger lake and kind of check all your weather apps, you know, keep up to date with it as much as you can and try and plan your trip when you've got, say, a full moon, low pressure and good winds, then you're only increasing your chances of catching. It's coming now. Just cut me off. Well, as I was just trying to say then, bite times really can come at any point. You'd never predict anything like that. I was trying to record something about bite times and then the rod rips off, but unfortunately the up pulled and I've lost it. It went through several weed beds, weeded me up, thought it went through one of the other rods, but luckily it hadn't. I got it out. Great shame, but wrap it back up, get it back out there. Just getting these rigs tied back on now after the unfortunate loss I had earlier playing that fish. I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely devoed about that. It felt like an half decent fish, you know, but playing them out at range and through the weed and all the other debris which is out there, I mean, it is going to happen, you know. You can never blame yourself too much for losing fish. There's always a number of things involved in it, and the best thing you can do is just re-rig, wrap them up, and get them straight back out there. I did that, carried through the procedure, got them all back out, and I had them out for another 2 hours, but nothing else happened. And so I nipped home for an hour, just quick freshen up, quick change of clothes and everything. All my clothes were absolutely soaking. I mean, on that take, I didn't have any chance at all to get the waders on, so I just ran in with the old trousers on, you know. Luckily the water's nice and warm and everything, so it's not too bad. And yeah, I live very close to the lake, so I can, fortunate enough, I can just nip home, you know, get changed and everything, and get my life back on track, so to speak. But yeah, I had a little rethink while I was out and about, and I'm gonna take one of my rods off of this gravel bar. I've seen a couple of fish actually showing a lot further round to the right now over another spot, which I know it's kind of a deep, silty kind of gully area, loads of weed around it and everything. And I've seen 2 fish there today, around 11, 12 o'clock. So I'm just gonna reduce the risk of, obviously, a fish kiting through me other lines out on the long spot, and increase my chances of landing a bit of a better fish, hopefully, without causing too much damage to the other rods fishing and damage to a fish, of course. Like, you know, I don't want any of that. So I'm gonna go back out, find a spot, top all 3 spots up, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we'll be back with one later on. Marker floating is definitely a bit of a dying art now. You don't tend to walk around the lakes and see people firing marker floats out. They're all feeling for a drop and kind of guessing how deep it is or whatever. But by using 1 rod, 2 rod, or three marker float rods, like, you know, you can pinpoint a spot and you can accurately measure its size, its shape, its distance, the falls, you know, everything in it. You can do it with a couple of rods as well, and then getting your spom and everything clipped up, so you can just do it so much more accurately and be 110% with your fishing. It's a simple setup, which is kind of different to what you see publicised rarely. My main braid line is running straight through to me float. I've got a running 5-ounce lead on there, and then it's just a fake hook bait, just protecting the knot and also acting as a buffer for the lead swivel to sit up against. By fishing it like this, I'm not going to have any false readings of having a boom on there. So by having a boom, all it does is your float will always pop up if it's in a foot of weed or whatever. You know, I'm fishing clear, gravelly spots. So I always want to know if it's completely clear for me to present a bait. And having it set up like this, as long as that float comes up, I know my bait's going to be 110% fishing and presented. Feel that down, boom, on the bottom. So I've decided, obviously, to bring a rod round further to the right where I've seen a few fish. I knew it's roughly around 29, 30 rod lengths out, so I've just wrapped it up at 31. I've had an overcast of it, and luckily it's donked down, and after a quick rod length pull, I'm now tight against this side of a weed bed. So I'm just going to give it another rod length, have another cast, try and find the area, mark it up, try and find the best drop I can find in it, get a rod clipped up to it, get me spod clipped up to it, introduce a little bit of bait. I'm not going to go too heavy on this tonight because I'm just trying to get a bite off it. And see, it's weedy out there, but it's no problem. And hopefully it will nick us another bite. My baiting approach across most of the bigger lakes, especially in the water park, because they've got so many crayfish in it and other nuisance species such as your bream, your tench, you know, a lot of big roach as well. I tend to go very heavy with the bait, because what you got to remember is if I'm coming in an evening and then baiting up, that bait is then got to sit there all night and hopefully still have enough bait for the following morning for any fish that might turn up for a morning feed. So I tend to put out as much as I can afford to put in. Particles very cheap, and the boilers obviously keep the fish there for a lot longer and they keep them coming back. You know, they're highly digestible, a lot of the fish meals and the nutty ones, so as soon as they get a taste for it, they just want to keep coming back for more and more and more. I bulk it out with a lot of particle, maize, some pigeon conditioner, which also acts as like a carpet, a bait down there. So you got to think, if you've say got I don't know 500 boilers in 5 kilo particle, you might have like 1 million items, which is going to take the crayfish a lot longer to get rid of, and then again increase your chances of still having more bait down on the bottom on your spot for any fish that might turn up the following morning or throughout the daytime. As you can see, Wednesday nights are usually boat nights on the over on Bradley's, so I've been sitting there waiting to get these rods out, and we've just heard the first storm, which usually means a sound it's halfway through their race. So I've just managed to smash one out right at the side of my marker. It's absolutely perfect. It's going to go. It's been absolutely chucking it down all evening. About an hour after the boat's run in, the rods are all out, rocking on the spot, and I got a bit more bait out. It weren't long until this chunky little character gave us a right battle through the weed, over one rod, got him out, got him under another one, and he was in the net. signs of things to come, hopefully. Lovely times.
I will run, I will rise, I will grow. I will climb to the place I belong. I will fight like the world's never known. Like the world's never known.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have any more takes last night. Still quite early in the morning. And what I'm going to do is I've just reeled all my rods in. The crayfish are quite active still at the minute, and two of them have come in, two of the up points have come in a little bit dull, so I'm going to get some new rigs on, all 3 rods, blast them straight back out, and then I'm going to put out a couple of spoms, which at this time in the morning you wouldn't usually do, but just try and induce a take and to try and drag them up from the out of bounds area. Now the wind's pushing the centre of my bait back into that bay. By putting out a couple of spoms, I should hopefully definitely get a bit of flavour, a bit of cloud, and the noise as well, you know, that also helps attract them. So we'll do that, and hopefully we'll get another bite.
Like a fire in my veins. In the end, you remember my name. Remember my name. Like the world's never known.
My love for these big pits is the challenge, the weather, the battles, pushing your barrow, you know, muddy paths and everything about it. I think it's brilliant. I'm definitely not a fan of kind of like perfect gravel swims with wood boards all around them. It just doesn't do it for me. I like getting getting your little saw out and that, hacking your way through the brambles and making a little path, making yourself a little swim. You can get yourself tucked in there, you know, find a couple of branches, a couple of trees and that, and get yourself tucked away from massive winds and the belting into your brolly, and it's ripping the pegs and the bank sticks out and everything like that, you know. The weeds blowing in and it's blowing all up your rods. I just buzz off that, like, you know, you don't get it with smaller lakes. You get these massive weather fronts coming in, and sometimes you can see it from one end of a lake and it's coming down towards you, and that's it, and it batten down the hatches and just hold onto your poles and ready and wait for it. But you know them carp are going to be following it. And it's sometimes like you get there, do you know what I mean, a day before, and you get your rigs out and it might be perfect. You're off the back of the wind and you're looking at the weather app on your phone. You know within 24 hours them fish are going to turn up and that wind is going to swing. And when it swings, Jesus, you can have some savage moments, trees coming down around you and everything. But in amongst them waves and everything lapping into the bank, you can, you know, there's one coming out, and then you know it's on. Dropping the pressure and everything, and you know you're going to get a bite, man. And that for me is, yeah, you're alone in wilderness, in the wildness, and you're doing it, you're getting it done, innit? give these rods reeled in now, pack up, get myself home. Been a wicked little session, managed to land 3. Lost a couple as well, but it's part and parcel of big pit fishing in weedy lakes, you know, you can't do much about that. I've tried my hardest. Bit of a change of weather last night. You know, the wind swung right round and it was coming straight into our faces and it brought a lot of rain, and I think that's cooled the water down quite a bit. We've been seeing them showing in the mornings and throughout the day further out in the out of bounds area, though. It's just completely out of casting distance, so there's nothing we can do there. I've been putting bait in steadily all throughout the day, trying to draw them up from that area, but it just doesn't work. So I'll give it a good top up before I leave, put out the rest of whatever bait I've got. You know, it's always a good thing. There's no point taking it home. You might as well stick it out there and then try and return, you know, within a couple of days or whatever, and give it another shot. But yeah, hopefully get one of them big commons next week. There's one in there we call orange tips. You know, he's 41, 42 pound, really long sovereign scales. He's jet black, absolutely beautiful fish. And I tell you what, if that went in the net, I'd be well and truly over the moon.